From 1866 to 2016, we celebrate Bob Henderson. Think of it, 150 years, a century and a half of his leadership. We know that Robert, Paul, George, Washington, Copp, Noble and Greenough Henderson was born, like many of us, at the age of 0. As a young child, having grown up in the mean streets of Wellesley, Massachusetts, he enjoyed his friends, games like soccer. He was noted to have luxurious, long, blonde hair. Truly, luxuriously great hair. Upon completion of his college years at Dartmouth College, Bob vowed that he would create a school that would send all its children to Harvard. And he did so by finding a leafy glade in Dedham, Massachusetts, and crafting sandstone from the earth. He built that school, brick by brick, stone by stone, and crafted the building that would prove to be the quintessential space for the education of the Noble's student. It was known as the Athletic Center. For the past 150 years, the time period that we celebrate now with this Sesame Tarnafel, Bob Henderson has done just about every job at the school.
Whenever we had a tough period to have a proctor in the library, Bob Henderson was the go-to man.
It's his presence in the hallway with that striped shirt where you really see him in action, and he takes that role really seriously.
He's become really passionate about teaching kids proper technique and form in the weight room. He's become sort of our towel boy. He's down in our equipment room almost every day.
He's the school nurse. He runs the front desk at the middle school.
How are you today?
And boy, can he cook. He goes down to the lunchroom, he's a madman. All of a sudden he's chopping, he's doing some gravy. You look up, it's lunch for 200.
We have award-winning fields, and that's because Bob is out there every day mowing them.
He's a great Chinese teacher, and of course he loves to do chemistry experiments.
He's also in charge of the theater department. He directs every show.
Most headmasters don't do that, but he called the triple reverse triple Lindy. It was pretty amazing how we converted that two-point conversion and won the game that year.
On top of all of that, he's a frequent visitor to the studio and makes time to paint, and he creates awesome work.
Okay, fair enough. We may have taken liberties with some of the facts around Bob's time at Noble's, but here's the deal. You can't exaggerate the impact that he has had on Noble's over the last 17 years.
And it was really neat to come back as a faculty member and a coach and a resident of the campus when Bob's tenure was beginning. One of the things I respect so much about Noble's is that with the 6 heads of school that we've had, it seems like we always hired exactly the right person at the right moment. And there's no doubt that Bob has been that person.
And what Bob has done is that there have been all sorts of openings in the school during his tenure, and he's picked the best person for that job for this time. And he was a visionary that way, and he's looked ahead not only for what that person could bring at that time that they were hired, but what they would give 5, 10 years from that moment. And he's built a school around them, and to watch them grow has been a real privilege.
This graduate came in and sat down and said, "Bob, I'm older and I don't have a lot of time. I want to know one thing. How do you teach morals and ethics in that old school of mine?" And without missing a beat, Bob said, "I hire well," which I thought was an amazing answer because it ties to every piece of what we try to do around here, which is terrific mentoring.
He's empowered a lot of people to have opportunity to grow within their career as teachers, as administrators, as coaches. You know, the reason that people stay here for a long time during Bob's tenure in that they've been given an opportunity to continue to grow and develop under his leadership.
I love coming to work every day, and I love working for Bob specifically, and he says that he hires well, but he never gives himself necessarily the credit. People love working for Bob.
Bob offers a really open door, and he's always really accessible. He also sees things for people that they don't see for themselves.
I've always felt like I can just, for better or for worse, walk into Bob's office and talk to him whenever, because it's right there in the center of the school and the door is always open.
In retrospect, it's probably one of the most important decisions Bob made. to move the head of school office, which was kind of buried behind the admission area, to the central hallway. It's a degree of accessibility for a head of school that's been extraordinary.
Over all the years that I've been coaching here, I can always find him on the sideline or up on the hill under the tree, and it's great to have him there.
One of the things that people don't fully recognize about Bob is that he's a very, very good classroom teacher. I think often heads of school are seen as people who are worried about the big picture and the strategic direction of the school, which obviously Bob's done a great job with during his time. But in the end, he loves being in the classroom with kids.
And I think at his core, he is an educator, he's a teacher. And I think what makes him unique in the world of the modern day head of school is that he truly is a CEO as well and has understanding of development and finance and buildings while also maintaining that core focus of being a teacher.
He'll be meeting with parents, he'll be meeting with faculty, he sits on all kinds of committees. It's just amazing to see from my perspective all the little things that he does and takes care of with very little credit.
And I think what he's done for the school is have tremendous vision and just always seems to have his finger on the pulse somehow of what's going on in every area of the school. And it's allowed him to be a tremendous mentor and a tremendous leader for us.
I really admire Bob for not just diversifying the public face of the school, but also creating a place for students of color to feel like they actually belong. And it's a private level of diversity that's much more difficult to access. And so I really applaud Bob. He had his finger on that pulse and made a big difference.
When I think of Bob, I think of this voice of counsel more than anything else. Whether that's on a personal level or whether you're sitting with the entire community in the assembly audience and you're waiting for him to say something that's going to take you and your colleagues and your students to the place you need to go.
In good times and in bad times, he really brings us all together in an incredibly special way.
And so I don't consider him just the head of the school. I also consider him someone I can run ideas off of. I feel like he always looks out for me, and he really makes an effort to care about people beyond sort of what their role is at Nobles.
I'm so grateful to him to have allowed me to stretch both intellectually and personally and to take risks. And at the end of the day, that's what Nobles is all about.
So thank you, Bob, for your leadership, your vision, and for taking care of the entire community.
It's been an incredible privilege to have the opportunity to work closely with you to help make Nobles the place that it has always aspired to be. So thank you.
You are a gentleman and a scholar. You reflect beautifully on your family, the schools that educated you, and on the Board of Trustees that unanimously selected you as its sixth head.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks for all that you've done for Nobles, Bob.
Thanks for everything. Thanks for the laughs. Thanks for the patience. Thanks for the raised eyebrows and no words. Those were always good days. Thank you. Thank you for your kindness. Thanks for being the head. Thanks for being the head of the school. It's been a good ride.
Thanks, Bob.
I really appreciate everything that you've done for me. Thank you for your friendship, and most importantly, oh my God, I'm starting to cry. Cut.